Dana White said he had the Ian Garry versus MVP fight a draw, and not for nothing, but that's not a good thing for Ian Garry. Ian Garry, he wants to be the future. He's proclaiming that he's going to be among George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, Demetrius Johnson, John Jones in terms of that elite upper echelon of MMA greats, you know what I mean? But I'll be honest with you, on their rise to ascension, they did not have lackluster performances. Any one of those guys I just named, they all beat the people they were supposed to beat in spectacular fashion. Not only that, but MVP did pretty damn well in the striking against Ian Garry. I would say he got the better of him in the striking, and Ian had to take him down, and that's fair. It's MMA. But with that said, I want to say MVP's about 10 years older than Ian Garry. Ian Garry should have finished this fight if he was truly that guy. And what do I mean when I say that guy? I just mean, I've been watching this sport a long time, since 2009. There's people that's been watching it longer than me, but trust me, I've been watching this sport longer than most fans. There's been a lot of new fans that came into the sport with Ronda Rousey, with Conor McGregor, with, etc., over the course of time. And I've been watching it for a while now, and from what I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of pretenders, and I've seen a lot of real people. I've seen a lot of people where you could point your finger at and say, oh, he's got it. Whatever it is, it's it, and he's got it, and he's him. And there's a lot of people that, they get fed the right matchups, and they get brought up slowly, and you could kind of, maybe there's some ambiguity to it. But truthfully, when you've watched the sport long enough and you know what to look for, you can tell if they've got it. And me personally, I don't think Ian Garry is that guy. I don't think he has it. He is not him. I believe he loses to a Shavkat Rakhmonov. I believe he loses some of these fights, man. I really do. Now, does that mean he's a scrub? No. Do I think he could stay in the top contenders, top 10, top 5 list? Sure I do. But do I think he'll reach that upper echelon that he's shooting for? No, I do not. I am not a believer in him. But the truth is, he doesn't need me to believe in him. He just has to believe in himself. With that said, Ian Garry, why do I think he's not him, so to speak? Because if he was him, he would have finished MVP. When he had his back and he was going for the choke, he wouldn't have had his top hand up here. He would have had it behind the neck. You know what I mean? There's little details like that. He would have gotten the finish. John Jones, when he was on his way up, he was finishing people. George St. Pierre was finishing people on the way up, Head kicked Matt Hughes, Like he may have lost to Matt Hughes, but he avenged that loss twice. Like, George St. Pierre was doing his thing. Anderson Silva, the king of highlight reel finishes. All of these guys, Demetrius Johnson, all of these people, you put someone in front of them and they won spectacularly. And that's what the spectacular ones do. They win spectacularly. The great ones do not win in lackluster fashion. And Ian Garry, he's happy to win in lackluster fashion. That's just my take on it. I want to see him fight Shavkat Rakhmonov next. I know we're getting Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. Whatever happens there, I don't think Ian Garry's really that close to a title shot yet. I think he still needs to get through some top contenders, and I think Shavkat would be a perfect test. Would be someone who's not so deficient in the grappling the way MVP is. I mean, MVP is pretty much a layup for anyone that wants to grapple him. And Shavkat is not that. Shavkat has the grappling that could defend against Ian Garry's grappling. That's one. And two, Shavkat's a good striker as well, and he may take some shots, but Shavkat has that killer instinct in him that a Jeff Neal lacks. And I made videos on this in the past as well. Feel free to check it out. Jeff Neal, he didn't have that killer mean instinct just to want to hurt Ian Garry. He was touching gloves with him all the time, so much so that his corner was saying, stop tapping him up. He's screaming at him to stop effing touching gloves. He's just a nice guy at heart, you know what I mean? He's in the customer service business. Jeff Neal works as a waiter, in between his fights, etc., etc. So he's a nice guy. Shavkat's not a nice guy. You know, he may be a nice guy outside the cage, but inside the cage there's a switch, and he turns into a stone cold killer. And I believe that mindset, that what's in him that drives him to be like that, will propel him forward to break Ian Garry, especially if it's in a 5-round fight. And I just feel the constant pressure is going to get Ian tired of all that movement. I know he thinks he can move around all day, but that's easy to say when you're not taking knees to the body and getting hit in the head and the clinch and all this stuff that Shavkat brings to the table. Shavkat, I believe, is the next fight for Ian Garry. That's what I want to see. I do not want to see Ian Garry fight Colby Covington. That's the last thing I want to see. Why? Because Colby Covington is washed. He is past his prime, and it's what happens, right? That's the sport. That's what happens when you want to sit on a ranking spot and not stay active. You know, he sat out for about 2 years thinking, oh, I'll just get a title shot when I came back, and he didn't. Then he lost to Leon, and he looked bad. You know what I mean? He looked rusty. He didn't look like the Colby of old. Now, why the hell would I want to see Ian Garry fight that? I don't. I want to see Ian Garry get challenged. I want to see him get tested. I want to see that. I don't want to see people, and this doesn't go for just Ian Garry because, like, oh, I'm an Ian Garry hater or anything like that. No, this goes for anybody. I want to see the best fighting the best. I don't want to see people getting easy layup matches. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to see that. So I say Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's the fight to do. And this isn't good. He needs to start winning more spectacularly. He's got to get Dana White on his side. If you have Dana White on your side, man, you can go far in the sport. And Dana White, I feel like he's he's a little on the kid, you know? So that's my take on it. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below, whether you agree, disagree. It truly does not matter. Just join the discussion, follow for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.